welcome to Crime in Court. My name is Heather, and this is another Delphi stream. It seems like this week has been nothing but Delphi, but I'm also covering Reid and many other things. So it's been a wild week. Anyways, so this episode I wanted to bring to you guys the probable cause affidavit and the press release that Richard Allen's attorneys are being basically accused of some kind of contemptuous misconduct or something because they put out a press release and making it seem like they are, Nick McClelland is making it seem like they violated something when they didn't. And so we're going to read through both the probable cause affidavit because there's problems with it, and we're going to read through the press release and make a determination for ourselves whether it's prejudicial or if it's worse than, law enforcement coming out and putting out certain details that then, the media goes and runs wild with, and all these different theories come out of it. So, it's no different. Anyway, so probable cause. This is, who does write this? Let's look. Is it? We don't even have the 8th page. That's right. So it's supposed to be 8 pages and it cuts out here. So just be aware of that. So we don't even know who wrote this. Isn't that interesting? I just realized that you can't tell who put this document together legally and filed it. So that's interesting. All right, let's begin. I, the undersigned affiant, whoever I is, we don't know, submit the following information pursuant to IC 353372 as a sworn affidavit setting forth the facts and circumstances known to law enforcement of Carroll County as the basis for probable cause to arrest without a warrant or to establish probable cause for issuance of an arrest warrant for the above named defendant. The facts and circumstances described below would be sufficient basis for a person of reasonable caution and prudence to believe that the accused has committed or attempted to commit the crimes described, and that if arrested without a warrant, such would be authorized under IC. That the hearsay statements of witnesses contained herein are considered reliable and credible due to the witnesses' personal knowledge and or are corroborated by the totality of the circumstances. And the rest is pretty much statements, I believe, which is why these are all italicized, and it says it's hearsay. So that the hearsay statements of witnesses contained herein are considered reliable and credible due to the witness's personal knowledge and or corroborated by the totality of the circumstances. Well, that doesn't say anything, and that just tells me you know a bunch of fancy words and you can say these things are reliable. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are, but okay. Let's take your word for it, I guess. Whoever you are, because your name's not even on here. I know I read through this on my own, like way back when it got leaked, but I never read it on this channel. So, and it's one of those things that sometimes it's good to like refresh your memory of the details when more details come flying at you with the case. So it's always kind of good to go back to the probable cause. All right. So that on February 14th, 2017, Victim 1 and Victim 2 were found deceased in the woods approximately 0.2 miles northeast of the Monon High Bridge in Carroll County. Their bodies were located on the north side of the Deer Creek. At the time, the Monon High Bridge Trail was an approximately 1-mile gravel trail terminating at the Monon High Bridge. The Monon High Bridge is an abandoned railroad trestle approximately a quarter-mile long, spanning the Deer Creek and Deer Creek Valley on the southeast end of the trail. Approximately 0.7 miles northwest of the trail from the northwestern edge of the Mountain High Bridge is the Freedom Bridge, which is a pedestrian bridge spanning State Road 25. Approximately 350 feet of Freedom Bridge was a former railroad overpass over Old State Road 25, also known as County Road 300 North. The trail terminates just west of the former railroad overpass. The majority of the trail is in a wooded area with a steep embankment on the south side of the trail. The entirety of the trail and the location of the girls' bodies were and are located in Carroll County, Indiana. Was there any question about that? Like, why did they need to put that in there multiple times? Does that mean that they weren't? It's just this land border another county, and that's why they keep reiterating that? I don't know. I do not know. I don't think so. I've never heard that before, but why are they reiterating that fact? I don't know. Through interviews, reviews of electronic records, and review of video at the Hoosier Harvest Store, which cracks me up, the name of that, and it always makes me think of the Frugal Hoosier. If you've ever watched The Middle, that was always the store that they went to. The Frugal Hoosier. Anyways, that reminds me of that. Sorry. Anyways, through interviews, reviews of electronic records, and review of video at the Hoosier Harvest Store, investigators believe Victim 1 and Victim 2 were dropped off across from the Mears farm at 1:49 p.m. on February 13th, 2017 by, and they redacted the name, but we do know that it was Kelsey German, Libby's older sister. So the Mears farm is located on the north side of County Road 300 North near an entrance to the trails. A video from Victim 2's phone, so that would be Libby then. So Libby's phone is the one that had the video and everything on it. So video from Victim 2's phone shows that at 2:13 p.m., Victim 1 and Victim 2 encountered a male subject on the southeast portion of the Mountain High Bridge. The male ordered the guys down the hill. No witnesses saw them after that time. We've all heard the down the hill or seen the down the hill. Should we pull it up real quick just to take a look? We'll try. We'll see if we can look at or review it real quick. Okay, come on, YouTube. Do you see this? Do you see what I'm dealing with here? All right, come on. Let's go. There was a search bar and then it disappeared. Okay, well, while that's loading, I don't know why it's being stupid. Okay. So anyways, the Mears farm is located on the north side of County Road 300 near an entrance to the trails. A video from Victim 2's phone shows the guys saying, guys down the hill. No witnesses saw them after this time. No outgoing communications were found on Victim 2's phone after that time. The bodies were discovered on February 14th, 2017. The video recovered from Victim 2's phone shows Victim 1 walking southeast on the Mountain High Bridge while a male subject wearing a dark jacket and jeans walks behind her. As the male subject approaches Victim 1 and Victim 2, one of the victims mentions gun. Near the end of the video, a male is seen and heard telling the girls, guys, down the hill. The girls then begin to proceed down the hill and the video ends. A still photograph taken from the video and the guys down the hill audio was subsequently released to the public to assist investigators in identifying the male. So a still photograph was taken from the video, But we've also seen the down the hill video, and it's just like a loop repeat of the guy walking. Down the hill. Oh, it didn't spell it right. I do not. Stop. We'll play this one. I don't want to play Nancy Grace. This is 39 minutes. Okay, so they're doing like a whole thing about it. That's not what I wanted. I wanted just the video, the down the hill. Here. All right, so this is the down the hill audio.
Down the hill. 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 Guys. Down the hill. Guys. Down the hill. Guys. Down the hill.
I don't hear he's got a gun. I think you guys get the point. So yeah, that was what was released by the media. That little clip of the guy walking, it's a loop. So you don't even actually see him walk. You just see his like 1-2 steps, and then it just keeps looping back and forth. So you don't even know that that's his gait and the way that he walks for sure, because it's a looping video. And then the audio, we know they did something to it, and they only gave us like this little portion of it. So was there more to it? And I did not hear the he's got a gun. If you guys heard it, let me know, but I didn't hear it. That's that's the video that they are referencing in the probable cause affidavit. Sorry, I'm gonna flip back and forth here. All right, so we watched the guys down the hill video. The girls then begin to proceed down the hill, and the video ends. A still photograph is taken of the guys down the hill, and it's released to the public. Victim 1 and Victim 2's unalivings were ruled as homicides. Clothes were found in the Deer Creek belonging to Victim 1 and Victim 2, south of where their bodies were located. There was also a .40 caliber unspent round. An unspent round. So we don't even know that there was a gun, first of all, but we have an unspent round and had extraction. So if it's unspent, how does it have extraction marks on it? I don't get it. And how, this is the one little piece of evidence that they say links Richard Allen to the girls. This bullet, this unspent bullet. Why would he have an unspent bullet at the scene with him when we don't even know that that's how the girls were, how their lives were ended? I believe they were stabbed and not shot, unless something else is different, you know, unless there's hidden information that we don't know. So yeah, so this is the one thing that they have for Richard Allen, holding him to the crime scene, like tying him to the crime scene at all, because other than his admission that he was there on the trails that day, they don't have anything. All right, so interviews were conducted with 3 juveniles, and their names were redacted. They advised that they were on the Mononhigh Bridge Trail on February 13th, 2017. So I believe that Richard Allen saw this group of girls. There were 3 juvenile girls. I don't know if they were all girls, but individuals that Richard Allen said that he saw on the trail when he was walking. He didn't say he saw anybody to the description of Abby and Libby, but he described more like the people that were in this group, the three juveniles. Anyway, so they advised that they were on the Monon High Bridge on the 13th of February. They advised that they were walking on the trail toward Freedom Bridge to go home when they encountered a male walking from Freedom Bridge toward the Monon High Bridge. One of the girls described the male as kind of creepy and advised he was wearing like blue jeans, a really light blue jacket, and his hair was gray, maybe a little brown, and he did not really show his face. She advised the jacket was duck canvas type jacket. A duck canvas. So like those Carhartt jackets. One of the girls advised that she said hi to the male, but he just glared at them. She recalled him being in all black and had something covering his mouth. She described him as not very tall with a bigger build. She said he was not bigger than 5'10". One of the witnesses advised he was wearing a black hoodie, black jeans, and black boots. She stated he had his hands in his pockets. So this is already different than what the other witnesses say with the blue jacket and the whatever jacket. All right, so his hands were in his pocket, his mouth was covered, and he was creepy. He was in all black. So I don't think that was Richard Allen. In my opinion, I just don't think it was. But I don't see him as wearing like all black. All right, so the photographs included a photo of the Monon High Bridge taken at 12:43 p.m. and another one taken at 1:26 p.m. of the bench east of the Freedom Bridge. One of the witnesses advised after she took the photo of the bench, they started walking back toward Freedom Bridge. She advised that she was She advised that was when they encountered the man who matched the description of the photograph taken from victim two's phone video. But that's not what they said he looked like. The one in the video clearly is not in all black. Clearly has jeans on and some kind of like a windbreaker or some kind of like poofy jacket there that he's wearing, and he's got his hands in his pockets. That's not at all what the girls just described. All right, so where was I? One of the girls advised that after she took the photo of the bench, they walked towards Freedom Bridge, and that's when they encountered the man that matched the description of photo taken from victim two's video. Another one described the man, or a witness described the man she encountered on the trail as wearing a blue or black windbreaker jacket. So that's more like what she saw. Whoops, I thought I had it up. So that definitely looks like a windbreaker jacket or something along those lines, in my opinion. All right, where was I? She advised that the jacket had a collar and he had his hood up from the clothing underneath his jacket. She advised that he was wearing baggy jeans and was taller than her. She advised her head came up to approximately his shoulder. She advised she said hi, or someone said hi to the man, and that he said nothing back. She stated he was walking with a purpose, like he knew where he was going. She stated he had his hands in his pockets and kept his head down. She advised she did not get a good look at his face, but believed him to be a white male. The girls advised after encountering the male, they continued their walk down Freedom Bridge and the old railroad bridge over Old State Road 25. Investigators spoke with a witness who advised that she was on the trails on February 13th, 2017. Video from the Hoosier Harvest Store captured somebody, redacted's vehicle, traveling eastbound at 1:46 p.m. towards the entrance across from the Mears farm. She advised that she saw 4 female juveniles walking on the bridge over, so 4 female juveniles walking on the bridge over Old State Road 25, and she was driving underneath on her way to park. A witness advised that there was no other cars parked across from the Mears farm when she parked. She advised that she walked to the Monon High Bridge and observed a male matching the one from victim 2's video. She described the male that she saw as a white male wearing blue jeans and a blue jean jacket. Blue jeans and a blue jean jacket? I mean, it's not a jean jacket, but it's clothes. I mean, someone giving a description might call it that. All right. All right, she advised that she was standing on the first platform of the Monon High Bridge, approximately 50 feet from her. She advised she turned around at the bridge and continued her walk. She advised approximately halfway between the bridge and the parking area across from Mears farm, she passed 2 girls walking toward Monon High Bridge. That might have been Abby and Libby. If it was, what time was that? She advised that she believed the girls were victim 1 and victim 2. Video from the Hoosier Harvest store shows at 1:49 a white car matching vehicle traveling away from the entrance across from the Mears Bridge. Witness advised that she finished her walk and saw no other adults other than the male on the bridge. Her vehicle is seen on Hoosier Harvest store video at 2:14 p.m. leaving westbound from the trails. How do we know that these women are not part of this? I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that they are, but how do we know that they're not a part of this whole ritual to like lure these girls into a place where they could get them alone? I don't know. But it definitely appears to be like, you know, they're knowing now that we know the odinous ties and everything like that. It's confounding that these people weren't interviewed or questioned the way that they should have been. All right, so she advised that she finished her walk and then she saw no other male adults on the bridge and she leaves. She advised that when she was leaving, she noted a vehicle was parked in an odd manner at the old Child Protective Services building. She said it was not odd for vehicles to be parked there, but she noticed it was odd because of the manner it was parked. Backed in near the building, investigators received a tip from Redacted in which he stated that he was on his way to Delphi on State Road 25 around 2:10 p.m. So this is all hearsay. I just want to say this entire PCA is hearsay of other people's statements, and it's written from a police officer or someone, I'm assuming in law enforcement, that put this together. It's written in a narrative format, but it's all supposed to be like witness statements because you italicized it, so it's witness statements, but we don't have the witnesses signing to, and actually writing their own statements. It's just what the law enforcement is reiterating back, and it could be very different. All right, so he observed a purple... Investigators received a tip from Redacted in which he stated he was on his way to Delphi on State Road 25 around 2:10 p.m. He observed a purple PT Cruiser or a small SUV type vehicle parked on the south side of the old CPS building. He stated it appeared as though it was backed in as to conceal the license plate of the vehicle. Redacted both drew diagrams of where they saw the vehicle parked, and their diagrams generally matched as to the area the vehicle was parked and the manner in which it was parked. The witness advised that he remembered seeing a smaller, dark colored car parked in the old CPS building. He described it as possibly being a smart car. The witness's vehicle is seen leaving at 2:28 from the Frugal Hoosier store. The Hoosier Harvest store. All right, so investigators spoke with some witnesses who stated that she was traveling east on 300 North on February 13th, 2022, and observed a male subject walking west on the north side of the 300 North away from the Monon High Bridge. So a male walking away from the Monon High Bridge. At what time is she? We don't know yet. All right, so the witness advised that the male subject was wearing a blue color jacket and blue jeans and was muddy and bloody. And we know now that that is not what she said. I think she said muddy and wet or something like that. Like, he appeared muddy and wet or something. I can't even remember the other word, but the law enforcement took it upon themselves to change her statement to reinforce their affidavit. She further stated that it appeared he had gotten into a fight. Investigators were able to determine from watching the video from the Hoosier Harvest store that redacted was traveling on CR 300 North at approximately 3:57 p.m. So 3:57, that would be well after the time Rick Allen said that he was gone from that area, and also well after the time when after we've gotten the last moments of Libby and Abby's cell phone usage. So it's a little while even after that. All right, so through interviews, electronic data, photographs, and video from the Hoosier Harvest store, investigators determined that there were other people on the trail that day after 2:13 p.m. Those people were interviewed, and none of those individuals encountered the male subject referenced above, witnessed by the juvenile girls. Furthermore, none of those individuals witnessed victim 1 and victim 2. They could have been lying. We know now that there is geofence data of cell phones in and around that area, the time of when the unalivings were supposed to have been happening. So it's either one of the people whose geofence information is in there, or it didn't happen there at that time. One of the two. Or it happened and there's people that saw it and nobody's talking, which I don't think that's the likely answer. I think the more people you have, like in Karen Reid, all those people in that house, one of them was going to turn. At least one. You know it. Like, you can't have that many people keeping a secret. Anyways. Investigators reviewing prior tips encountered a tip narrative from an officer who interviewed Richard M. Allen in 2007. So Richard Allen, remember, he volunteered some information to law enforcement in 2007 because he thought it would be helpful. So he went on his own volition to police station or called them, whatever, and he made this statement on his own free will and trying to help. And then now he's in prison. Anyways, so this is the narrative. Mr. Allen was on the trail between 13:30 and 15:30. I think that was 1:30 to 3:30. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw 3 females. So not Abby and Libby, but the 3 witnesses that were first mentioned in this whole narrative. It's a narrative, but this is not a PCA. Anyways. So the narrative, he parked at the old farm building. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw the 3 females he noted. One was taller and had brown or black hair. He did not remember description, nor did he speak with them. He walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He did not see anybody, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone as he walked. He stated there were vehicles parked at the High Bridge trail ahead. However, he did not pay attention to them. He did not take any photos or video. His cell phone did not list an IMEI, but did have the following potential follow-up for information: who were the 3 girls walking in the area of Freedom Bridge. They don't know. That was weird. What do you guys think of that? So that was the other thing I wanted to say. Richard Allen's phone was not in that geofence data that was there during that time where it supposedly had happened. So, but there are multiple other phones that are in that area, and we need to know why. All right, so investigators believe Mr. Allen was referring to the former Child Protective Services building, as there was not a Farm Bureau building in the area, nor had there been. Investigators believe the females he saw included the 3 girls, the 3 witnesses, due to the time that they were leaving the trail, the time that he reported getting to the trail, and the descriptions that the 3 females gave. Investigators discovered Richard Allen owned 2 vehicles in 2017, a 2016 black Ford Focus and a 2006 gray Ford 500. Investigators observed a vehicle that resembled Allen's 2016 Ford Focus on the Hoosier Harvest Store video at 1:27, traveling westbound on CR 300 North in front of the Hoosier Harvest Store. That's hard to say 10 times fast. Which coincided with his statement that he arrived around 1:30 in the afternoon on the trails. Investigators note witnesses described the vehicle parked at the former CPS building as a PT Cruiser, small SUV, or a smart car. Investigators believe those descriptions are similar in nature to a 2016 Ford Focus. I don't, but whatever. I don't think those are the same as a PT Cruiser, a smart car, a small SUV, and maybe a small SUV. I don't know. But probably not. I wouldn't think it was an SUV. On October 13th, 2022, Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. He advised that he was on the trails on February 13th, 2017. He stated he saw juvenile girls on the trails east of Freedom Bridge and that he went on to the Monon High Bridge. Richard Allen further stated that he went onto the Monon High Bridge to watch the fish. Later in the statement, he said he walked out to the first platform on the bridge. He stated he then walked back, sat on a bench on the trail, and then left. He stated he parked his car on the side of an old building. He told investigators that he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. He advised that he may have been wearing some type of head covering as well. He further claimed he saw no one else except for the juvenile girls he saw east of the Freedom Bridge. He told investigators that he owns firearms and they are at his home. Richard M. Allen's wife, Kathy Allen, also spoke to investigators. She confirmed that Richard did have guns and knives at the residence. She also stated that Richard still owns a blue Carhartt jacket. And from what I understand, everyone in this town pretty much owns a Carhartt jacket. On October 13th, 2022, investigators executed a search warrant of Richard Allen's residence at 19... No, I don't want to say his address. Among other items, officers located jackets, boots, knives, and firearms, including a Sig Sauer model P226 40 caliber pistol with serial number U625627. Between October 14th, 2022 and October 19th, 2022, the Indiana State Police Laboratory performed an analysis of Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The laboratory performed a physical examination and classification of the firearm, function test, barrel, and overall length measurement, test firing, ammunition, component characterization, microscopic comparison, and nibbin, whatever that is. The laboratory determined the unspent round located within 2 feet of victim two's body had been cycled through Richard M. Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. I call bull. You cannot possibly tell that. And it was unspent, so that makes absolutely no sense. But here's what the laboratory said. An identification opinion is reached when the evidence exhibits an agreement of class characteristics and a sufficient agreement of individual marks. Sufficient agreement is related to the significant duplication of random striated impressed marks as evidenced by the correspondence of a pattern or combination of patterns or of surface contours. The interpretation of identification is subjective in nature and based on relevant scientific research and the reporting examiner's training and experience. Okay, but yeah, they still aren't proving to me that I don't know. I know that the science behind ballistics is not very sciencey, so it should be inadmissible, but unfortunately our dumb judicial system, I mean, I like our judicial system, but it's dumb at times because it doesn't catch up to things like that. So we need to, when we're more knowledgeable and we know that things like lie detectors and ballistics are junk science, when we know that, then we need to do better and not use it as evidence in a case against 2 girls whose lives were ended and a man who is standing on trial for his life. Basically, his life is on the line. And whether he did it or not, we don't know. But these bullet marks, ballistics, they're just not reliable, so we cannot know for sure. And it makes no sense why a bullet was there unspent. Anyways, investigators then ran the firearm and found that the firearm was purchased by Richard Allen in 2001. Richard Allen voluntarily came to the Indiana State Police Post on October 26, 2022. He spoke with investigators and stated that he never allowed anyone to use or borrow the Sig Sauer model P226 firearm. When asked about the unspent bullet, he did not have an explanation of why the bullet was found between the bodies of victim 1 and victim 2. I have an answer, and no one's going to like it, but I think it was planted. Not just planted, I think it was, like added into evidence later or something. I don't think that this bullet has been sitting in evidence this whole time. Since 2017. I think it made its way in there after they searched Richard Allen's house and they found an unspent bullet and said, yank, that's going to go in our evidence bag over here, but don't look at it. That's what I think happened, but I do not know for sure. So he again admitted that he was on the trail but denied knowing victim 1 or 2 and denied any involvement in their unalivings. Carroll County Sheriff's Department detective, whose name is redacted for some reason, even though you could just Google it, has been part of the investigation since it started in 2017. And who's the detective? The Sheriff's Department detective? I don't know. He has had an opportunity to review and examine evidence gathered in this investigation. Detective so-and-so, along with other investigators, believe that the evidence gathered shows that Richard Allen is the male subject seen on the video from victim 2's phone. That's what you've got? That's all you've got? Is that he's the victim, he's the subject on the phone in the down the hill video. Okay. And that he forced the victims down the hill. Further, that the victims were forced down the hill by Richard Allen and led to the location where they were unalived. Through the statements and photographs of the juvenile females and the statement of redacted were at the southeast edge of the trail at 12:43 p.m. east of Freedom Bridge at 1:26 p.m. and walked across the former railroad overpass over Old State Road 24 or 25, excuse me, after 1:26 p.m. and before 1:26 p.m. They walked the entirety of the trail and observed only one person, an adult male. One of the witnesses' vehicle is seen on Hoosier Harvest Store video at 1:46 p.m. and leaving at 2:14. And she stated she only saw one adult male, and then some other people. Oh, these witnesses, redacted, described the male in similar manners, wearing similar clothing, leading investigators to believe all four saw the same individual. Well, who is it? There's one that's dressed in all black, and then there's one that's in blue jeans and a Carhartt jacket, or a blue jacket, whatever. All right, so investigators believe the male... Did I read that last line? Describe the male in similar manners, wearing similar clothing. Yeah, okay. So investigators believe the male observed by... I think that's... Is it? Okay. Well, observed by witnesses. And in the same male and blank, redacted, is the same male depicted. Oh, so they had a name. Investigators believe the male observed by blank and blank is the same male depicted. Oh, maybe it's not. Well, maybe it is. Is the same male depicted in this video from victim two's phone. Maybe they knew who it was. Maybe they, like Brad Holder, all those people, Elvis Fields. I don't know. It's interesting, though, just like the wording of this. So investigators believe the male observed by so-and-so and so-and-so is the same male depicted in the video. I guess that maybe they're just saying the group of three girls that saw them on the same video from victim two's phone due to the description of the male by the four females watching the male in the video. Wait, what? Due to the descriptions of the male by the four females matching the male in the video. Okay. Furthermore, victim two's video was taken at 2:13. So the video audio thing that we see of down the hill, that was at 2:13 p.m. apparently. And okay, so furthermore, victim two's video was taken at 2:13 p.m. and redacted saw only one male while she was on the trail from approximately 1:40 to 2:14. Investigators believe Richard Allen was the male seen by all these redacted people and the male seen in video two's video. Richard Allen told investigators he was on the trail from 1:30 to 3:30 that day. Video from Hoosier Harvest Store shows a vehicle that matches the description of Richard Allen's vehicle passing at 1:27 p.m. towards the former CPS building. The clothing he told investigators he was wearing matched the clothing of the male in victim two's video and the clothing description provided by redacted. A vehicle matching the description of his 2016 Ford Focus is seen at or around 2:10, 2:14, and 2:28 at the former CPS building. Through his own admissions, Richard Allen walks the trails and eventually hiked to the Monon High Bridge and walked out onto the Monon High Bridge. So obviously he did it. Obviously. What? I don't see the correlation. There were other people out there that were walking the trails. It's not like you would necessarily... Okay. A male subject matching Richard Allen's description was not seen on the trail after 2:13. That's not true, because who are the two sketches about? Because that's not even in here, is the two side by side, the headshots, or not headshots. They look like heads, but it's a drawing depiction of, I Can't think of the word. What are those called when they draw? A sketch artist. It's a sketch of the suspect. Okay. That took me a minute. Oh, what's this big line that's redacted? Oh, someone's redacted right here. All right, so where was I? None of those individuals saw a male subject matching the description of Richard Allen on the trail. Furthermore, Richard Allen stated that he only saw 3 girls on the trail who investigators believed to be that group of 3. Investigators believe Richard Allen was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. because he was in the woods with victim 1 and 2. An unspent .40 caliber round between the bodies of victim 1 and victim 2 was forensically determined to have been cycled through Richard Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The Sig Sauer model was found at Richard Allen's residence and he admitted to owning it. Investigators were able to determine that he had owned it since 2001. Richard Allen stated he had not been on that property where the unspent round was found and he did not know the property owner, and that he had no explanation as to why a round cycled through his firearm would be on that location. Furthermore, he stated that he never allowed anyone to use or borrow the Sig Sauer. Investigators believe that after the victims were unalived, Richard Allen returned to his vehicle by walking down CR 300 North. Investigators believe he was seen by, redacted, walking back to his vehicle. That's the one who said that he was muddy and bloody, which we know is a lie. We know this now. And this is the end of it. It just cuts out abruptly. So, redacted. Along with investigators, believe the statements made by the witnesses because the statements corroborate the timeline of the death of 2 victims, as well as coincide with the admissions made by Richard Allen. Further, the accounts relayed by blank and blank are similar in nature, and timestamps on photographs taken by blank correspond to the times the juvenile female said that they were on the trail and saw the male individual. And that is how it just ends off abruptly. We don't get the 8th page. And knowing what we know now, I think, I mean, there were problems with it before, but now I really think there's some issues. An unspent round. What is okay, so it's unspent, but it's cycled. I need to know what that means, because what the heck does that mean? It was cycled through his firearm, but it was unspent. I'll have to look at that. All right, so that was his press release. I'm sorry, that was his probable cause affidavit. Now we're going to go on to his press release. This came out, if you've been following along on my channel or not, doesn't matter. I've got all the links down in the description below on videos I've done on the Franks memorandum. There's multiple videos of those on other motions and things that have to do related to the Franks and the Odinist theory and all that. So just recently we read through the hearing for the motion for contempt that Nick McLeland had filed against Richard Allen's attorneys. And I think it was totally baseless. But anyways, so, and it did waste a lot of time when they should have been prepping for trial. And one of the things that they discussed in that hearing was this press release. So, a little background. I guess they wanted to keep everything sealed in the beginning. They didn't want to be trying it in the press, as Nick McLeland says. They don't want to try the case in the press. But let's just be honest here. The court, the prosecutors, the law enforcement, and the media all are working against you. You, the defendant, you have your defense team, maybe some supporters that show up at the court if you have hearings, but that's really about it. Your defense team. Whereas the state has all the power. All of it. So, and they're all working together. The media, the law enforcement, and everyone in that realm, and the judges. It's all, I fully am on board with the idea that they are all working together to keep us down. I mean, not really, but kind of. It just seems that way when I'm looking at all of these filings in these cases lately with Karen Reid and just all of them right now. It's insane the media coverage that they're getting, number one. And number two, the way that the media just like twists things. Like the, what was it? Recently, we just had the alibi from Brian Koberger in Idaho 4. And media took one like little portion out of that whole thing and said, oh my God, he was stargazing that night. That's what he was doing. And that was his alibi. Like, no, stargazing was not his alibi. If you read through the thing, he was driving. He did not say he was stargazing that night. He said he was driving around. But yet the media says, oh, he was stargazing. What a romantic. He likes to stargaze at night. As an alibi, but not really, because he's, the media's already portrayed him as guilty, but whatever. All right, so press release. Moving back to Delphi. Heather, keep it together. All right, so as, I just wanted to read through this because Nick McClelland, the prosecutor in this case, says that this is worth the whole, being under contemptuous conduct thing, and it's because they are saying too much to the press. Basically, he wanted a gag order, and the defense said, no, we don't need a gag order. We're not going to try this in the media. And then they shortly thereafter put out this press release, and the prosecution has their panties in a wad about the fact that this press release went out, and then, so it went out December 1st, and shortly after Richard Allen had just been, arrested, and the attorneys were put on the case. So the press release went out December 1st, and then Judge Gull put down a gag order on December 2nd. But Nick McClelland is saying that this violates some gag order that wasn't even in place at the time. And he's really, really upset about it. So let's read it. I like when Nick is upset. It's kind of funny. All right. So as Rick Allen's attorneys we have received multiple requests from local and national media for interviews and comments since the unsealing of the probable cause affidavit. So this right here is in response to the PCA that was leaked by none other than probably the prosecution. Nick McClelland may have even done it because he's been a source for some YouTube creators for some content and leaking information. So this statement done in response to the PCA that was leaked, which makes that prejudices Richard Allen. So here is, and then they were receiving tons of media requests and questions. So this was a way for them to get out a blanket statement and not have to continually, answer the questions. And it's in response. I don't understand what the problem is. So, press release. So this comes after the unsealing of the probable cause affidavit. It would be virtually impossible to comply with these requests and continue to focus on the merits of Rick's defense. Therefore, we offer up these thoughts. We do not want to try this case in the media, and we intend to adhere to the Indiana rules of professional conduct that provide guidance on pretrial publicity. However, the police and prosecutor's office have conducted many press conferences over the 5+ years of this investigation and following our client's arrest. So we want to put out a press release to quash some of these things because for the last 5+ years, you've been trashing the suspect in this case. And now the public has a face to and a name to the one who did all this. So they're going to go, oh, he's guilty. You know, I mean, I don't know. With all these press releases and everything that they've ingested for the last 5 years, and then you find out it's this guy. We've got our guy. You're just, most people just blindly follow law enforcement. Like, okay, cool. That's our guy. All right. So on the other hand, Rick's ability to assert his innocence has been reduced to only one short post-hearing press conference. Accordingly, we feel it appropriate, necessary, and within the bounds of our rules of professional conduct. So they're not breaking any rules, Nick. They didn't violate a gag order, and they're not breaking rules of professional conduct. So what is the problem? I don't know. So accordingly, we feel it appropriate, necessary, and within the bounds of our rules of professional conduct to make a few comments concerning the probable cause affidavit and Rick's innocence. Remember, this is in response to the leaked PCA, which was probably leaked by none other than Nick McClellan. Speculation. I'm speculating, but I think they're all dirty. Nick and Gull. All right, so Rick is a 50-year-old man who has never been arrested nor accused of any crime in his entire life. He is innocent and completely confused as to why he has been charged with these crimes. The police did not contact Rick after Libby German and Abby Williams went missing. Rather, Rick contacted the police and voluntarily discussed being on the trail that day. Like many people in Delphi, Rick wanted to help any way that he could. Rick contacted the police to let them know that he had walked on the trail that day, as he had often done. Without Rick coming forward, the police probably would not have had any way of knowing that he was on the trail that day, unless they got some kind of geofencing back, but that takes a long time to obtain. And it progresses throughout your investigation, you'll get it, but it's time consuming to get subpoenas and things like that. All right, so Rick volunteered to meet with a conservation officer outside of the local grocery store. Was it the Hoosier Harvest store? To offer up details of his trip to the trail and on the day in question. Rick tried to assist with the investigation and told the police that he did recall seeing 3 younger girls on the trail that day. His contact with the girls was brief and of little significance. Rick does not recall if this interaction with the conservation officer was tape recorded, but believes that the conservation officer scribbled notes on a notepad as Rick spoke to him. All right. After Rick shared his information with law enforcement officials, he went back to his job at a local CVS and didn't hear from the police for more than 5 years. The next time Rick heard from the police was in October 2022. This was approximately 2 weeks before a contested sheriff's election and within days of a federal lawsuit filed against the Carroll County Sheriff's Office by its former second-in-command, Michael Thomas. So we know that Liggett was up for sheriff's election, and he won that year. And we think, I speculate that his, it was very politically driven, the arrest of Richard Allen. Because 2 weeks before an election, they wanted to say, we got our guy, we're good at our job, we got it, we got the guy that we needed, even though they already interviewed potentially the people that they needed and let them go, because Unified Command is part of the Odinist group, cult, whatever. I guarantee it. I guarantee there's people in it. I think that this runs really deep. It's like, you don't think about it, but it's like the Illuminati or something, like it's just totally Masons or whatever, like just they've integrated themselves into all forms of the justice system, and therefore they can do what they want and cover their tracks. I don't know. It's just my opinion. All right, so in the lawsuit, Thomas, I just feel like they're infiltrated throughout all of our organizations, these Odinists or Freemasons or whatever it is at the time that, like there's always going to be these secretive groups that are infiltrating themselves into society and we don't know it. It's scary. It's scary to think about. In the lawsuit, Thomas claims that he, Thomas, had made suggestions and offered assistance in the investigation of a high-profile child homicide investigation, but those suggestions and offers were rejected by the sheriff. Thomas, remember, is Carroll County Sheriff's Office former second in command. So Thomas made suggestions and offered assistance in the investigation, but was denied. Thomas further claimed that the sheriff and others in the department feared that disagreements with Thomas would become publicized as a result of the political campaign for sheriff. Thomas claims in the suit that he was ultimately demoted and replaced by Tony Liggett, who later that year won the 2022 election for sheriff. Interesting, huh? Furthermore, Thomas claims that he was also removed from high-profile cases. Rick was ultimately arrested on or about October 28, 2022. In the 5+ years since Rick volunteered to provide information to the police, Rick did not get rid of his vehicle or his guns and did not throw out his clothing. He did not alter his appearance. He did not relocate himself to another community. He did what any innocent man would do and continued living his life just normally, normal routine. The probable cause affidavit seems to suggest that a single magic bullet is proof of Rick's guilt. It is a bit premature to engage in any detailed discussions regarding the veracity of this evidence until more discovery is received, but it is safe to say that the discipline of tool mark identification or ballistics is anything but science, as I've said. The entire discipline has been under attack in courtrooms across the country as being unreliable and lacking any scientific validity. We anticipate a vigorous legal and factual challenge to any claims by the prosecution as to the reliability of its conclusions concerning the single magic bullet. Beautiful. That was beautiful. All right. So on Rick's behalf, we argued to have the PCA unsealed. Rick has nothing to hide. As importantly, we were hoping that we would receive tips that would assist us in proving up his innocence. Not surprisingly, we have been inundated with tips from a variety of sources, all of which will be vetted by our team. Although it is the burden of the prosecutor to prove Rick's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, the defense team looks forward to conducting its own investigation concerning Rick's innocence. We appreciate those who have reached out to support the cause. The prosecutor mentioned at the last hearing his belief that others may have been involved in the unaliving, yet there was no mention in the PCA about a second suspect. The defense is confused by such discrepancies in the investigation and will be in a better position to respond as more discovery is received. Rick Allen owned a Ford Focus in February of 2017. His Ford Focus is not in any way similar to the distinctive look of the PT Cruiser or Smart Car that was described by the witnesses. It seems that the CCSD is trying to bend facts to fit their narrative. At this point in time, we have received very limited information about this case and look forward to having something more to view than that which was offered up in the sparse PCA. Moving forward, it is our intent to scrutinize the discovery as it is received and give the necessary attention to the volumes of tips that we are receiving. To the extent we continue to discover information that points to Rick's innocence, we will offer up this information to the public so long as we are not prohibited from doing so as a result of the recent request of the prosecutor for a gag order or by the Indiana Rules of Professional Conduct. Brad Rosie, Andrew Baldwin, attorneys for Rick Allen. And that is the end. I feel like it was a little, like I could see why Nick would be mad about this because it is attacking kind of some of their theory and whatnot. And it does, like, it breaks it down saying his Ford doesn't look like a PT Cruiser, you know. There were multiple suspects originally suspected, but now why are we just on one suspect? And all of this stuff, you know. I mean, it's just, it gets crazier and crazier the more you look into this case, or any of these cases for that matter, with this level of corruption. I mean, there has to be something in the works there in Delphi, because Richard Allen can't be the unluckiest man in the world. I don't think so. There's a reason that we're not getting, or I mean, the defense isn't getting the discovery. They're not getting the information that they need from the prosecution, and there's a reason why the prosecution is coming at them with contempt charges and or allegations and trying to delay, and why they got thrown off the case. They're too close to the truth. And that's the answer. The Frank's memo is the entire answer. Judge Gull and Nick don't like the defense's theory, and it's too close to the truth, and they don't want the truth coming out. I fully believe, and this could be my conspiracy hat brewing, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I look at the evidence. I've been following these cases, so it's clear as day to the people that actually are reading through it and finding that there is massive levels of corruption in these towns. And that's where I'm going to leave it there. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you appreciated it and liked it. I hope that it gave you a little more clarity now that it's always different looking back. So now we have more information. We know that this Odinist theory exists. And now that we look back at the information, we're kind of like, oh yeah, well that makes sense why they said that, or that makes sense why whatever. So it's very interesting to kind of, and it makes your mind start thinking too, like, oh well, they didn't want us to know this. And yeah, it gets your mind spinning, these cases. Some of them, I can't even right now, because I've got Karen Reid, this Stephen Avery, and Idaho 4 are like my 4 main ones that I'm focusing on. And Karen Reid trials, going to trial Monday, opening statements, been jury selection all week, and hearing today, which I haven't even finished because I'm also doing the Menendez trial. We're rewatching it, so maybe I gotta slow down on some stuff. It's just been crazy. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this week. I had a full week almost. Was it? Yeah, of Delphi videos. So I hope you enjoyed them. Please don't forget to make sure that the notification bell is on so you don't miss any Delphi videos or anything else that I'm covering if you're interested in those too. So I hope to see you in the near future, and I am out of here. Bye guys. If you've been impacted by a true crime and would like your story told in your own words, or if you or someone you know has been wrongfully convicted or accused of a crime, please write to crimeincourtchannel@mail.com and tell us your real true crime encounters. Thanks for watching.